Coming up on Vegas Nation Gameday, the Raiders hit the road to face the Falcons.
They're 3-7. That's a joke. This is the best 3-7 team I've ever seen. I don't know how they've lost some of these games.
Our crew is in Atlanta with the latest. Plus, we take a look at how the Raiders gave back to the Las Vegas community this Thanksgiving. All of that and so much more kicking off right now on Vegas Nation Gameday.
This is Vegas Nation Gameday. Brought to you by Meineke and your local Meineke dealers. When you shop for quality, shop Meineke.
The name of the game this week was the Spirit of Giving. We'll show you how the Raiders took that to heart. Welcome in to Vegas Nation Game Day. If you're tuning in, it means you've woken up from your Thanksgiving food coma. We so appreciate you joining us. I'm Cassie Soto, and joining us today via Skype is Sam Gordon. Sam, did you have a good Thanksgiving?
Cassie, good morning. I definitely did. A little bit of football, a whole lot of food, and I have recovered, and I'm happy to be here via Skype for Vegas Nation Game Day. Looking forward to this. A lot of football today, especially the Raiders and Falcons in Atlanta.
It's going to be great, Sam. Well, the Raiders' 3-game win streak was snapped by the Chiefs, but now, as you said, they move on to face Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons. Let's go ahead and get into some fast takes and smart coverage. Before we check in with our crew, let's go ahead and take a look here at some storylines. Sam, we'll start with the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, where in about an hour, the 6-4 Raiders will get a win over will try to get a win over the 3-7 Falcons. We'll see how that storyline plays out for our Raiders today to see if they come out with another win. But first, let's get to some other storylines today as we watch today's game. Some big news coming from the Raiders, Sam, starting with left guard Richie Incognito. He will miss the rest of the season after undergoing foot surgery, Sam. He's been missing since about week 2. So was this really that bad of news for the team?
Yeah, Cassie, I don't think it's too much of a surprise at this point, given that he is 37. He has been in the NFL since 2006. There's a lot of mileage on that 320-pound frame, and you're talking about an Achilles injury, a foot injury, and we know those are really, really tricky. So fortunately for the Raiders, their offensive line has been used to adapting and shifting and not having the full lineup there, and has still been one of the better units in the NFL. So not necessarily a huge deal for the team. Of course, you want to have as many offensive linemen as possible. They would have definitely liked to have him back, but that unit is going to be okay without him. And now we're going to wait and see if Incognito is going to try and rehab this and come back for 2021, or if he's going to call it a career. Again, 37, been in the league since 2006. A long, long, successful career for Richie Incognito, and we'll see what he wants to do with the rest of it.
All right, we'll see what happens there. Well, let's go ahead and go out to Atlanta, where our Vegas Nation team, Heidi Fang, Ed Graney, and Vinny Bonsignor, have a big storyline for us to watch. Heidi.
Thanks, Cassie. Yeah, we're all out here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium for the Atlanta Falcons game. But first, we're going to look back a little bit on what the Raiders looked like last year as a 6-4 team, because it's been a little bit different than what we've seen in this season. Vinny, what can you say to this year's Raiders 6-4 record?
Compared to last year, this is a better team. And ironically enough, the Raiders won to get to 6-4 last year. They lost to get to 6-4 this year. The loss to Kansas City couldn't have been any more different than the win over the Cincinnati Bengals. They struggled to beat the Bengals, whereas they played really well against the Kansas City Chiefs, couldn't finish it at the end. But that was a win that sent a message to themselves, to the rest of the NFL. This is no fluke. They beat the Kansas City Chiefs earlier this season. They pushed them to the brink last week. So confidence is much higher. The team is better talent-wise. It's healthier. So across the board, this is a different 6-4 because it's a better 6-4 team.
All right, and Ed, you had a little bit of thoughts on that as well, looking back to the Jets and what the Raiders are this week as they prepare for the Jets.
Absolutely. Last year, the Raiders went east at 6-4, and they were a 3-point favorite to go to the Jets. This year, they're 6-4. They go east. They're a 3-point favorite to beat the Falcons here today. I completely agree with Vinny. I think it's a different team. I think, they're going to come in here. They're healthier than the team they're going to play today in terms of the Falcons. I think they're more confident. I think they have a playoff-level offense. I just think it's going to be a different result. And by the way, it better be a different result because the Jets, who were a 3-point dog last year, won 34-3. If that happens again, that will not be good for the Las Vegas Raiders. I don't think that's going to happen, though.
All right, now we are going to hear from Coach Gruden on his thoughts on what this 6-4 team is like.
Well, everything's different. You know, this every day-to-day thing that we do is different. I don't even know who's in the lineup every week. Everything's different. The way we travel, the way we eat, the way we meet, and the way we greet each other, everything is different. I'm really proud of our players and the coaches. We've hung in there, we've fought and battled and scratched, and we are what we are. We're 6-4 with 6 games left, and we got to get ready for the Falcons.
The clock is winding down for you to place your last-minute bets, so let's go out to the Mirage to check in with Todd Dewey, who is taking a look at the books. Todd, first of all, you picked a great place to be this week because the Mirage just celebrated its 30th birthday after taking what was then known as a $630 million risk when it opened up. Can bettors expect to be that lucky this weekend?
Well, maybe not that lucky, Cassie, but there's been 2 BetMGM bettors that placed 6-figure wagers on the Raiders today, a $200,000 straight bet and a $110,000 straight bet on the Raiders to cover as 3-point favorites at Atlanta. The line opened at 3 and has stayed there all week. It's been all silver and black money here at BetMGM, which has taken 98% of money on the game on the Raiders from sharp bettors and recreational bettors alike are both loading up on Las Vegas in this one. Opinions have differed around town, though, as the South Point reported taking sharp action on Atlanta in this one. The Raiders have been a great bet this season, covering 7 of their 10 games for the NFL's second-best spread record, and they've won and covered 4 of their 5 games on the road. The Raiders also are tied for the league's top over-under record. They've been the best over team this year at 7-2-1 over under. The total opened at 56, dropped as low as 52.5 at Circa, which reported taking sharp action on the under, and has ticked back up to 53.5 around town and 54 here at the Mirage. Raiders and over has been a great parlay this season, cashing in 5 of the Raiders' 10 games. It'd be a great combo again for bettors today, and a bad combo for the books, but pretty sure they're going to be okay, Cassie. Best of luck in all your bets, and happy holidays, everyone.
Happy holidays, Todd. Thank you so much. Well, remember, Todd will recap today's betting action, and our own Jim Barnes is writing a Bad Beats blog on the NFL games. You'll find all of that and more at reviewjournal.com. Sam, over to you.
It's a game of who said what on the field as social media has been having a field day trying to figure out what some of Derek Carr's more unusual audibles mean. With no crowd noise in the stadium, Carr can be heard clearly, but that doesn't mean we know exactly what he's saying.
Well, you know, the defense has always, I think, been able to hear, just everyone can hear more now with no fans, you know, and it's been fun for me. I have so many, and honestly, I've been, like, all my, you know, some of my best friends, they'll send me some tweets of people trying to figure out what it means and things like this. And, like, it's so funny how wrong people are, you know, but it's fun to read, you know, to us, because they're trying to figure it out, you know, and I've used probably 20 of them that absolutely mean, I say the same word, and then sometimes it means something, sometimes it means nothing. So I've had some good ones, you know, I've had some fun with it. I've been able to have fun with it myself, and you know, throw certain players' names in there and different things. Like I got some new ones obviously for this game, and you know, all those kind of things. So my mind's always working, just coming up with stuff, but don't get it twisted. I don't come up with all of them. I'm not that smart.
You think I came up with Purple Walrus, Jerry? Really? No, I don't know where he comes up with some of this. Just so you know, a lot of it is just, it's fake chatter. It means nothing. You know, some of these words, it's like the baseball guy on third base signaling. You know, he's doing all this stuff. You know what it means? Nothing. You know, you got to know where the indicator is. So you can listen and you can rewind it all you want and try to figure it out. But I'm not going to get into our audibles. It's a shame that now we're given access to our snap count and our inventory of plays on live TV. I don't know what the world is coming to.
With just under an hour left until kickoff, there's still so much more to get to. Coming up, we've got your field pass discussing the new COVID-19 protocols.
And I've got the numbers you don't want to miss. Don't go anywhere.
NFL Trivia is presented by Attack Law. The best defense is a good offense. How did former Falcon Deion Sanders score the most touchdowns in his NFL career? A. Fumble recoveries, B. Interceptions, C. Kickoff returns, or D. Punt returns?
Stay on the winning page with Fan Fave Las Vegas Review Journal to receive Vegas Nation content, plus breaking news, local entertainment, and lifestyle coverage. For only 99 cents a week, you'll get home delivery plus unlimited access to LVRJ.com. However you like it, whenever you like it. Award-winning content, all at your fingertips. Subscribe today at mylvrj.com/superfan.
Vegas Nation Blitz is your weekly source for Raiders news.
We're going to stick together, bond together. We're going to make some changes.
Vegas Nation Blitz brings you fast takes and smart coverage.
All they have to do is make a stop right there, and the whole complexion of this game changes.
Vegas Nation Blitz, new episodes airing every Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Our Vegas Nation podcast keep you up to date with all things Raiders. Get your week going with First and 10 on Mondays featuring Sam Gordon and Vinny Bonsignore.
Who you can count on to make a big play when you need one.
Wednesdays, Heidi Fang brings you in-depth interviews with Raiders players and personalities.
You know it's a great challenge.
On Fridays, get your dose of Raiders talk and musings from Ed Graney and Adam Hill with unsportsmanlike conduct.
Should there be any discipline? No. People are going to get it, and that's fine.
Vegas Nation, fast takes, smart coverage.
Field Pass is sponsored by Scenic Brewing Company, your neighborhood brewery and sports bar. The big news from this week centers around the new COVID-19 protocols in the league. Heidi Fang is here with this week's Field Pass. Heidi, some changes affecting a lot of teams this week. Let's start with the Ravens and Steelers.
That's right, Cassie. The pivotal AFC North showdown between the Steelers and the Ravens has been moved multiple times as a result of players testing positive for the COVID-19 virus. This happened after Lamar Jackson had tested positive, and we also have a Steeler, James Conner, running back, some pivotal players in this matchup that have tested positive for the COVID-19 virus. So originally, this matchup was supposed to take place on Thursday night, Thanksgiving football in the primetime spot, but it was moved to Sunday, and now it is going to happen on Tuesday, that being if everyone is ready to go. I mean, at this point, we could be looking at a game that could possibly even be canceled and flexed to another time in the coming future. Ravens coach John Harbaugh thanked the NFL and the Steelers for their effort as they continue to work through this process. And he said on Friday, quote, "Work to create an environment that keeps the health and safety of everyone involved at the forefront of each decision." So as of now, the NFL has made several changes throughout this last week, just trying to tighten up things where the COVID protocols are concerned. For instance, you can not wear a face shield on the sideline anymore. We've seen that in the past with coaches like Andy Reid. Additionally, every player and every person working on an NFL sideline is going to have to wear a mask. If you don't, you can be fined. Some other restrictions now involve not having media at any practices or at any team headquarters or facilities in the coming weeks. This happening after the Raiders and many players had tested positive for the virus. The NFL came out and released this statement ahead of the Week 12 games.
And Heidi, what do those changes mean for the Raiders moving forward, who have had their fair share of COVID-related issues this season?
How does this affect the Raiders, Cassie? Well, there's many different things that will take place in this coming week that will affect the Raiders. First of all, like I said, there won't be media or any people allowed into the practice facilities. And on Monday and Tuesday of this week, that includes the Raiders. Teams will not be allowed to have any physical interaction with each other in the coming week. So the practices won't be able to resume until Wednesday. They're all also meeting right now in virtual settings, and they're not going to be meeting in person when they have their team or positional meeting groups. So there's a lot of things coming, and the Raiders are going to have to be very careful with all of these new policies, especially the mask policy. As we've seen, the Raiders have already been fined close to $1.2 million for various infractions and breaking the rules with COVID protocol. So they're going to have to stay very, very much aligned with the new rules that have come out from the NFL. Back to you, Cassie.
Great information, Heidi. Thank you so much. We will be checking in with you throughout the show. From Heidi in Atlanta to Sam Gordon via Skype. Sam's got the numbers for us this week. Sam.
Thank you, Cassie. The Raiders today are going to face a Falcons defense that's not just porous, not just vulnerable, not just flat out bad, but historically bad. That's right. The Falcons this year are allowing 303 passing yards per game. That's second most to only the Seattle Seahawks, who are allowing an NFL record 343.7 passing yards per game. But just because the Seahawks are worse doesn't mean the Falcons aren't still quite egregious. Aside from Seattle, only the 2011 Green Bay Packers allowed more passing yards than this year's Falcons. Green Bay that year allowed 301.2 passing yards per game. Atlanta this year has also surrendered 22 passing touchdowns. That's tied for the most among teams who have played 10 games. They also allow the third most yards per attempt at 7.7, and they've allowed 148 first downs via the pass. That is sixth most among the league's 32 teams. Those struggles are also compounded by the fact that Atlanta can't really rush the passer. The Falcons are tied for 23rd in sacks this season with 17. Opposing quarterbacks have a passer rating of 105.9. That is the worst in the NFL, and they are completing 68.4% of their passes. That's the sixth highest mark. So in short, it is all bad for Atlanta's passing defense. I expect Derek Carr and company to get after them today. Now let's send it over to Ed Graney to flip the field.
That's right, guys, to split the field, and I'm pleased to welcome in Tori McElhaney, who covers the Falcons for The Athletic. Tori, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome. Listen, let's start with Raheem Morris, the interim head coach. When he took over for Coach Quinn, I want to know from then to now, what have you seen in terms of this team, in terms of how they've responded to him? Mid-season coaching changes can be difficult. How have they responded to him lately? Because they have won some games under him.
I think Raheem's done a good job. I mean, the situation is a little different than anything else that a lot of interim head coaches go into, because he does have 11 games, or he did have 11 games to go into this situation as the interim. So that was an odd situation to begin with. But a lot of the players really like Raheem. He's coached on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball. You know, he was defensive coordinator, now interim head coach. I would say the biggest difference between what was happening under Dan Quinn and what's now happening under Raheem Morris is that the expectation and the mentality is a little bit more intensified. So Raheem is kind of getting after guys a little bit harder than what Dan Quinn did. He's expecting them to do more. One of the very first things that he did as interim head coach was to call in some of the main leaders of this team and really kind of get after them and say, I need more from you. So that's some of the key differences that you've seen from Dan Quinn to Raheem Morris.
You know as well as anyone, when they're healthy, it's as good a wide receiver core as the NFL has. They're not always healthy, whether it be Julio and others. How much has that held this team back? You know, early on, even they were losing. It seemed like they were scoring points and they were at least staying in games that way. But how much is a week-to-week basis on who's going to be at the wide receiver spot hurts this team?
It does, because when you think about what the Falcons are, they are a pass-heavy team. You have Julio Jones, you have Calvin Ridley, you have Matt Ryan, you have these weapons in the pass game that really dictates how the Falcons move the ball downfield. So that in and of itself, the fact that they hang their hat on the pass game is what really makes this situation with Julio Jones not being at 100% because of a hamstring injury, and Calvin Ridley not being able to have him for a couple weeks because of a foot injury. I mean, all of these things stacking up on top of each other, it does make it really difficult to go in week after week and be like, okay, who do we have at this receiver core? And it does make it tough, especially not knowing this week going into Sunday's game what the situation with Julio Jones is going to be like. They said they're going to take him through the whole week, and he'll likely be a game time decision.
Tori, that's awesome stuff. Once again, we really appreciate the time. Take care of yourself, and happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Well, there you go, guys. It's Flip the Field with the Atlanta Falcons. Now let's take a check-in on what's going on with social media.
This social media update is sponsored by D&R House of Diamonds, making luxury affordable.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the post-Turkey Day edition of Vegas Nation Gameday. Obviously, the Raiders and the Silver and Black Faithful were all about good food and family this week on the social media timelines, but let's see what else the internet has for us. Now, I've seen the Raiders uniform debate go on for a while. There are traditionalists who like them just as they are, but others want a couple alternatives. Not too many people would be opposed to an all-black or an all-silver alternative, I think, but Raider Nation, let me pitch you on a new logo starring DC4. Now, maybe the Carr logo gets implemented down the line once he's retired. Who knows? But DC4 looks very at home inside that shield. The Raiders and Derek Carr look like a perfect match. Speaking of Derek Carr, he dropped that James Harden audible in the middle of the Chiefs game last week, and everyone went crazy about it. But there is another NBA All-Star guard who is looking to have his name dropped by DC4. Dame Dollar, Damian Lillard, was thrown out as a suggestion for a future audible, and Dame agreed. Another user on Twitter also threw out a perfect play call for him. Since James Harden was an ISO run, Dame could be a deep bomb. So if you hear Dame or Dame Dollar in the near future, look for Nelson Aguilar, look for Henry Ruggs, because the ball might be going to them. Finally, you all at home might have seen Raiders tight end Darren Waller's cleat heat before the game, rocking some custom Love Las Vegas Jordan cleats. But his socks are actually up for auction. Partnering with 4 Bare Feet's 32 Teams 32 Socks campaign, Raider Nation, you can go bid on these socks right now. There's still over a week left in the auction, and all proceeds go to benefit the Darren Waller Foundation. And that's all I've got on social media this week. Coming up after the break, Cassie and Sam break down the bromance between John Gruden and Raheem Morris.
The love I have for him, I can't even express in this conference right now because of what he did for my career, what he did for everything about how he taught me.
Raheem's a heck of a coach. He's a great guy, and he knows the game inside out.
And we'll give you a look at how the Raiders are once again giving back. That's up in 2 minutes. Keep it locked right here to Vegas Nation Gameday. See you soon.
Stay on the winning page with Fan Fave Las Vegas Review Journal to receive Vegas Nation content, plus breaking news, local entertainment, and lifestyle coverage. For only 99 cents a week, you'll get home delivery plus unlimited access to LVRJ.com. However you like it, whenever you like it. Award-winning content, all at your fingertips. Subscribe today at mylvrj.com/superfan.
Vegas Nation Blitz is your weekly source for Raiders news.
We're going to stick together, bond together. We're going to make some changes.
Vegas Nation Blitz brings you fast takes and smart coverage.
All they have to do is make a stop right there, and the whole complexion of this game changes.
Vegas Nation Blitz, new episodes airing every Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Our Vegas Nation podcast keep you up to date with all things Raiders. Get your week going with First and 10 on Mondays featuring Sam Gordon and Vinny Bonsignore.
Who you can count on to make a big play when you need one.
Wednesdays, Heidi Bang brings you in-depth interviews with Raiders players and personalities.
You know it's a great challenge.
On Fridays, get your dose of Raiders talk and musings from Ed Graney and Adam Hill with unsportsmanlike conduct.
Should there be any discipline? No. People are going to get it, and that's fine.
Vegas Nation, fast takes, smart coverage.
NFL Trivia is presented by Attack Law. The best defense is a good offense. The answer is B, interceptions. Primetime scored 9 of his 22 touchdowns on interceptions during his Hall of Fame career. It's a 7-7 win matchup as the Raiders get ready to take on the Falcons on their home turf shortly. We've got our Vegas Nation crew in Atlanta for more fast takes and smart coverage looking deeper at this week's opponent.
Thanks, team. So this Falcons team is a 3-7 team, but Vinny, what are we looking at in terms of how well this team has actually played in the season despite their record?
Well, they have played well. This is an offense that can score points, but let's keep in mind this is a very injured team right now. No Julio Jones, no Todd Gurley. Dante Fowler, the defensive end, is questionable right now. So it's a banged-up 3-7 team. There's no question about it. The key is that Raheem Morris, the Falcons interim coach, has these guys playing hard, and so the Raiders are going to have to brace for the fact that they're going to get maximum effort for 60 minutes, whether it's a good team, a bad team, whoever's out there. And anytime you have Matt Ryan, you have a chance. There's no question about that. So expect a full effort from the Atlanta Falcons. I just don't think they have the firepower to keep up with the Raiders. And if I'm the Raiders, you take a couple of big punches early on, basically question the Falcons. Do you really want to sit here and fight for 60 minutes? Because we are, and try to take the will out of them. But again, they're going to get fight from the Falcons. There's no question about it. Raheem Morris has these guys playing hard. But the firepower with all the injuries, not sure how much the Falcons are going to be able to give the Raiders today.
Interesting you mentioned Raheem Morris there. He and John Gruden have a very close connection, being that Raheem Morris has said that John Gruden kind of gave him his start in this league. So, and also this week, Paul Guenther spoke about him, the defensive coordinator for the Raiders, as well as the offensive coordinator, Greg Olson. They spoke about how different this team looks with Raheem Morris. What do you think the infusion has been with him now working as the interim head coach?
I think he's just connected with these players and he's got them playing hard. And again, it goes beyond talent. They're not the most talented team in the NFL. Yeah, they have some players like Julio Jones and Matt Ryan, Todd Gurley at a diminished rate right now. But across the board, there's a lot of deficiencies on this team. But as long as you play hard and stay engaged, and that's what Morris has really pulled out of this team. So you're going to get the maximum effort. And I think that he's been able to do that, push the right buttons. And I think he's setting himself up for, whether it's here in Atlanta or elsewhere, another shot to be a head coach. And there's no question John Gruden, did see something in Raheem Morris. That's why he brought him to his staff with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, much like Sean McVay in Los Angeles. So John Gruden has an eye for talent. And it looks like Morris, hopefully, is going to get another shot to be a head coach, whether it's here or someplace else.
There you have it. Never trust a 3-7 team by its record. From Vinny Bonsignor, Heidi Fang, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, team. Well, at the start of the season, Raheem Morris was the defensive coordinator for the Falcons, but that, of course, changed in October when the team fired head coach Dan Quinn and general manager Thomas Dimitroff and named Morris the interim head coach. Sam.
And now things have come full circle for Morris. Cassie, I'm getting a little fuzzy in here talking about this, as he's going to be coaching against one of his former mentors in John Gruden. There is a bit of a bromance between the two. Morris was just 26 years old when he got his first job as a coach in the NFL under none other than John Gruden, then the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Fast forward to today, and the two remain close, but they are putting that friendship on pause come kickoff.
Highly respected in John Gruden. The love I have for him, I can't even express in this conference right now because of what he did for my career, what he did for everything about how he taught me. He was one of the first people that taught me how to work, how to put the time into it, how to come into work and absolutely beat people to work and thrive in that environment. The amount of opportunity he gave to me to grow as a coach, both working for him against his scout team, working on him against everything that I've been able to do, and getting all the confidence in the world from a guy like John Gruden. You can't ask for more. You're talking about one of the legendary coaches in this game, in my opinion, and somebody that I will always love dearly and deeply. And this week we got to go up and face him.
He's a good friend of mine. He and Mike Tomlin were young secondary coaches when I was in Tampa, and I had more fun with those guys than I can't even get into some of the stories. But Raheem's a heck of a coach. He's a great guy, and he knows the game inside out. And I pull for him every week except this week. I can't wait to see him. Can't wait to compete against him. And like I said a minute ago, I know he's going to have those guys ready.
And it was a moment never seen before in the NFL as an all-black officiating crew worked an NFL game for the first time in league history on Monday night during the game between the Rams and the Buccaneers.
Between the 7 members of the crew, and they have a combined 89 seasons of NFL experience and have worked 6 Super Bowls, but this moment was a first. When the NFL first announced the crew was being assembled, League Executive Vice President of Football Operations Troy Vincent called the move a testament to the countless and immeasurable contributions of black officials to the game. He also referenced the power of inclusion Tons of celebrities coming out to voice their support on social media for the Week 11 crew, including Seahawks quarterback Russell Wilson and former NBA star Chris Bosh. Cassie, definitely a first for the league, but not a last.
Absolutely, Sam. Well, let's go ahead and keep the good news rolling as the Las Vegas Raiders continued their tradition of providing Thanksgiving meals to families in need. The Raiders teamed up with Smith's and assembled 600 Thanksgiving food boxes for Southern Nevada families in need.
The boxes included everything you need for an amazing Thanksgiving meal, like a whole turkey, stuffing, scalloped potatoes, mac and cheese, all the good stuff.
All that good stuff. Well, the boxes were then handed off to the Valley families at Allegiant Stadium, but it doesn't stop there. This year, the Raiders offensive line made a Thanksgiving donation to 3 Square to fund over 45,000 holiday meals for families in Southern Nevada. We've already covered a lot of territory on Vegas Nation Game Day, but there's plenty more where that came from. And starting with a new contest that will put your cooking skills to the test. Details on that coming up.
Stay on the winning page with Fan Fave Las Vegas Review Journal to receive Vegas Nation content, plus breaking news, local entertainment, and lifestyle coverage. For only 99 cents a week, you'll get home delivery plus unlimited access to LVRJ.com. However you like it, whenever you like it. Award-winning content, all at your fingertips. Subscribe today at mylvrj.com/superfan.
Vegas Nation Blitz is your weekly source for Raiders news.
We're going to stick together, bond together. We're going to make some changes.
Vegas Nation Blitz brings you fast takes and smart coverage.
All we have to do is make a stop right there, and the whole complexion of this game changes.
Vegas Nation Blitz, new episodes airing every Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Our Vegas Nation podcast keep you up to date with all things Raiders. Get your week going with First and 10 on Mondays featuring Sam Gordon and Vinny Bonsignor.
Who you can count on to make a big play when you need one.
Wednesdays, Heidi Fang brings you in-depth interviews with Raiders players and personalities.
You know it's a great challenge.
On Fridays, get your dose of Raiders talk and musings from Ed Graney and Adam Hill with unsportsmanlike conduct.
Should there be any discipline? No. People are going to get it, and that's fine.
Vegas Nation, fast takes, smart coverage.
Welcome back to Vegas Nation Game Day, presented by Meineke and your local Meineke dealers. When you shop for quality, shop Meineke.
Cassie, there's just some things that you need to make game day perfect. Things like a big screen TV, maybe some leftovers. How about a comfy couch?
Oh, for sure, Sam. But for me, I think, it's a little early here. A perfect game day drink is what I need here, Sam, this morning. That's where J.R. Starkis has us covered for a post-Thanksgiving cocktail recipe.
Welcome back, Vegas Nation. J.R. Starkis with Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits, here to make your Week 12 cocktail, the Smoky Peach. Here's what you need for Smoky Peach. This is Grand Patron Smoky. If you like mezcal, this is for you. This has kind of got a nice little smoky bit to it, similar to like a mezcal does. This is a little bit of peach nectar. We're going to use fresh lemon sour and some Fever Tree ginger beer, the best ginger beers on the market. So we're going to start with our Grand Patron Smoky, and we're going to add 1.5 ounces to our mixing tin, followed by 1 ounce of the peach nectar, followed by 1 ounce of lemon or lime sour. It doesn't matter which one you want to use. I like lemon sour for this. And we're going to shake these ingredients together with a little bit of ice in our mixing glass. All right. Once we get that mixed together, we can add a couple ounces of the Fever Tree ginger beer right to our mixture. can add it on top if you want to, but if you do that, then you have to kind of stir it to incorporate all the ingredients. So we'll add some ice to our Collins glass. And the final bit is we'll strain all of this right over fresh ice in our Collins glass. And then we'll garnish it with a piece of candied ginger, perhaps even a piece of sliced peach or something like that. Candied things this time of year are perfect, though. Enjoy your Week 12 cocktail, Smoky Peach.
And while we see a new cocktail recipe every week, now it's time to put your cooking to the test and go head-to-head with other fantastic chefs for the ultimate game day recipe contest to win premium Vegas Nation swag. All you need to do is whip up your best crowd-pleasing food and submit a photo along with the recipe. Here are a few submitted recipes to give you an idea of the competition you're up against. Oh, look at that. That looks good. Cheddar. You love it. Go to vegasnation.com/contest for details and how to enter until Sunday, January 3rd. The top 4 ultimate game day recipes will be posted and voted on by fellow fans at Vegas Nation Fan Zone. The grand prize package includes Vegas Nation swag, including a t-shirt, clear stadium tote, a Raider-themed barbecue tool set, and a 100 grocery gift card. Sam, let's go ahead and take a quick trip across the league now, starting with the Lions cleaning house, firing head coach Matt Patricia and general manager Bob Quinn.
Yeah, Cassie, it feels like this move was inevitable, right? The Lions just for years, decades rather, have just been mired in futility, and this year was no exception. You see the way they got blown out on Thanksgiving. It's a showcase game for the Lions. Despite their struggles earlier in the season and they're not competitive against the Houston Texans, they have blown more fourth-quarter leads than any other team in the NFL since Patricia took over in 2018. And it's frankly, it's time for a change. Detroit they've struggled really to find that recipe, that coach GM recipe, since they drafted Matt Stafford in 2009. He is among the more talented quarterbacks in the NFL, but hasn't really had the infrastructure around him to be successful. So we'll see if they can get the hire right this time around, but it was long overdue, and we'll see how Detroit plays the rest of the season without him in the fold.
Well, sticking across the league here, we know the Raiders, Sam, have had a hard time keeping the coronavirus under control, but what the heck is going on with this Baltimore Ravens outbreak?
Yeah, I mean, definitely the biggest outbreak we've seen so far. It kind of puts that Tennessee Titans outbreak earlier this year to shame. But the league has done a good job adjusting. The Ravens are going to be without top running back Mark Ingram, along with J.K. Dobbins, who's another one of their top running backs. Of course, Lamar Jackson on the coronavirus list, and probably won't go Tuesday. That means it's going to be Robert Griffin III, RG3, the former Heisman Trophy winner who took the league by storm in 2012, got hurt in those playoffs and hasn't been the same since. So they're really, I mean, it could not come at a worse time for the Ravens. They, of course, were 14-2 last year. Now they're 6-4. They're stuck in that wild card race with a tougher schedule than teams like the Raiders or the Cleveland Browns or the Indianapolis Colts the remainder of the way. So, of course, they got Pittsburgh coming to town. Pittsburgh is undefeated, and that is not the game that you want to be without Lamar Jackson, without some of your top players. So the game is Tuesday night, and the Ravens are going to have to make do with what they have given the circumstances.
All right, well, let's go ahead and bring it back home here to Las Vegas, where we are sending Kevin Cannon out with the Vegas Nation truck.
And while
hey
Kevin
guys, for this week's field trip, we're taking the Vegas Nation truck to a locally owned and operated business, Full Spectrum Laser. I'm getting out from behind the wheel of the truck and getting behind the camera. Let's check it out.
So laser and 3D printing are different in not that many ways. 3D printing, you still have the X and Y axis, you just have the Z. Now laser still has the Z axis, but you can cut materials like wood and all sorts of organics like leather. The Al Davis torch must have taken a ton of manpower. It's a real achievement due to that. Materials, the machine itself to build it, piecing it together, designing it. I mean, the multitude of things that had to come together to make that real is pretty significant. As you can see, we have the design given by you guys to us, and we just cleaned it up, sent it over to the laser, and gave it a couple of power settings, and we're ready to go. there you have it. You have your custom Vegas Nation logo on a coaster or whatever material you like it on. And it's that easy. Just in a couple of minutes, you go from in the computer to real life. All right, guys, well, thank you for the time you had with me. I actually have to get going on a couple of things, but I'm leaving you in good hands with my buddy Robert, our marketing director. And yeah, please take over, man.
Hey guys, I'm Robert. I'm really excited to sit down and share a little bit about what we do here at Full Spectrum Laser. Full Spectrum Laser has a very unique story. It started about 10 years ago in our CEO's garage. He's an engineer at heart and built this from the ground up, and we are here today because of that. So Full Spectrum Laser and the niche that we are is so exciting and so different. It has really allowed families and individuals who are kind of stuck at home due to the pandemic and or may have lost their job to pick up a hobby or even turn it into a small business. From coasters and ornaments to individuals who want a customized tumbler with the Golden Knights logo or the Las Vegas Raiders, really the possibilities are endless of what you can do here. And it has really been something to see for families who are just trying to stay active as well as kind of support their family.
Such a blast today. Thank you, Full Spectrum Laser, for this cool new addition to the Vegas Nation truck. Can't wait to see what you come up with next. I'm going to head back out on the road. Back to you in the studio. Cassie?
The city of Las Vegas is already feeling the financial effects of the coronavirus, and because of a shortfall in tax revenue, Clark County had to dip into a debt reserve account to help make December's scheduled bond payment for Allegiant Stadium. Here to tell us some more is Allegiant Stadium insider for the Las Vegas Review-Journal, Mick Akers. Mick, just how much money did the county have to pull out to make this payment?
Yeah, so they had to take out $11.5 million to make the just over $16 million payment. Obviously, this is the first time they had to dip into that fund. It was sitting at about 76% filled, which is supposed to be 2 full years of if no room tax came in, that they can make the bond payments. So right now it's going to be left at about $57 million. They are not worried about it being exhausted through the pandemic. Obviously, they weren't prepared for this, but Governor Sisolak, when he was on the Stadium Authority Board, set up this reserve fund. They usually have these for large projects when public money is involved, with the $750 million of Nevada public money coming from room taxes in Clark County hotel rooms. So he wanted to have 2 years just in case. Obviously, no one foresaw what was going to come. So it looked like he was kind of looking ahead and had that, a right idea right there with the reserve fund. Obviously, they would be in a little bit of trouble right now if this wasn't there. So kind of a, no one thought they would ever have to dip into it, but now that it's there and this is happening, obviously it's kind of I'd say a lifesaver on this project right now.
Yeah, Mick, I don't think anybody could have predicted 2020 and what would happen here. So what does this mean now? I think you mentioned it there, for the future of this reserve fund down the road.
Yeah, so they haven't had any money going into it since about March, because they have a certain amount that go in from their room taxes. They had a certain percentage that would go in and kind of fill this up, and they were hoping to get it to 100% full. Hasn't had any money go into it for some time now. Like I said, they're not worried about it kind of, going to zero through all this. They're hoping these room tax numbers go up. Obviously, right now, for fiscal year 2021, we have about $3.9 million in there from, FY started July 1st until September. Last year, there was just over $12 million already in there. So it's looking like, it's already tracking down there. So hopefully, with some of this stuff coming online with the vaccine and such, hopefully the visitation will go up and then they won't have to worry about dipping into it anymore. But it's just going to be a wait and see game here, how long it takes Las Vegas to get back to anywhere near normal, which, experts are all over the board on that. So it's kind of, no one really knows at this point.
All right, well, we'll see what happens here down the road, Mick. Thank you so much as always.
Thanks, Cassie.
Still ahead, Ed Graney is giving us his hot takes on today's matchup.
And we are taking a closer look at the Hall of Fame semifinalists, including one very, very legendary Raider.
Stay on the winning page with Fan Fave Las Vegas Review-Journal to receive Vegas Nation content, plus breaking news, local entertainment, and lifestyle coverage. For only 99 cents a week, you'll get home delivery plus unlimited access to LVRJ.com. However you like it, whenever you like it. Award-winning content, all at your fingertips. Subscribe today at mylvrj.com/superfan.
Vegas Nation Blitz is your weekly source for Raiders news.
We're going to stick together, bond together. We're going to make some changes.
Vegas Nation Blitz brings you fast takes and smart coverage.
All we have to do is make a stop right there, and the whole complexion of this game changes.
Vegas Nation Blitz, new episodes airing every Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Our Vegas Nation podcast keep you up to date with all things Raiders. Get your week going with First and 10 on Mondays featuring Sam Gordon and Vinny Bonsignor.
Who you can count on to make a big play when you need one.
Wednesdays, Heidi Fang brings you in-depth interviews with Raiders players and personalities.
You know it's a great challenge.
On Fridays, get your dose of Raiders talk and musings from Ed Graney and Adam Hill with unsportsmanlike conduct.
Should there be any discipline? No. People are going to get it, and that's fine.
Vegas Nation, fast takes, smart coverage.
Today's replay is sponsored by De Castro Verde Law Group. Our motivation is you.
The Raiders and Falcons first played each other in 1971. The result, a 24-13 win for the Birds. For the first time in the 14 games that they have played each other, the Raiders will play the Falcons in Mercedes-Benz Stadium. With the series tied at 7-7, the Silver and Black have not played in Atlanta since 2012. The last time they met, the Falcons came away with the win, 35-28. Head coach John Gruden faced the Falcons once as the Raiders head coach back in the year 2000. The Raiders crushed them, posting a 41-14 final score, and it was also the last time the Raiders beat the Falcons. As the head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Gruden faced the Falcons 14 times in the regular season. His record was 5-9 against the team. 2008 was Gruden's final season with the Bucs. It was also the first season that Matt Ryan had joined the Falcons as a quarterback. Gruden went 1-1 against the Matt Ryan-led Falcons. The Falcons currently own a 4-game winning streak over the Raiders dating back to 2004. In each of those losses, the Raiders have had a different starting quarterback. Kerry Collins, Jamarcus Russell, Carson Palmer, and Derek Carr. Carr will look to even the score in his second opportunity against the team. In 7 wins that the Raiders have had over the Falcons, they have posted at least 30 points in each of those contests, including a 50-19 victory on October 14, 1979, which also marked the Raiders' largest margin of victory all time in the series. And that'll do it for your game day replay.
The Hall of Fame is without a doubt one of the highest honors for a professional football player, and this year 25 players like Peyton Manning and Kelvin Johnson are among the semifinalists for the 2021 class. But there's another first-time semifinalist that donned the silver and black, perhaps better than anyone in recent memory, who will likely be heading to Canton this fall, and that would be Charles Woodson. Woodson mesmerized college football during his career at Michigan, becoming the first and still the only defensive player to win the Heisman Trophy in 1997. The Raiders made him the number 4 overall pick in 1998, and he responded by becoming one of the league's best cornerbacks as a rookie, recording 5 interceptions en route to Defensive Rookie of the Year honors. Woodson spent his first 8 seasons in Oakland, totaling 4 Pro Bowls and 1 All-Pro selection, but injuries started to take their toll, limiting him to a career-low 6 games in 2005 and paving the way for his exit in 2006. Woodson signed as a free agent with the Green Bay Packers and recaptured his magic during 7 seasons in Titletown. He proved to still be one of the league's best ball hawks, intercepting 9 passes, returning 3 for scores, and capturing the 2009 Defensive Player of the Year. And he also helped the Packers win Super Bowl 45 after the 2010 season. He finished his tenure in Green Bay with 4 more Pro Bowl nods, 2 more All-Pro selections, and a resume worthy of enshrinement in Canton. But Woodson did not stop there and returned to Oakland for 3 more seasons. He even made the Pro Bowl in 2015 at the age of 39, ensuring he would end his career the way he started it, as a Raider and as one of the best defensive backs in the league. Woodson finished his career with 65 interceptions. That's the 5th most in NFL history, and 11 interception return touchdowns. That's the 2nd most ever. From Michigan to Oakland to Green Bay, back to Oakland, and undoubtedly to Canton, Woodson left his mark on the Raiders and on football, one time for the great Charles Woodson, who will most likely be headed to Canton next year.
You love to see it, Sam. Thank you. Well, while the Atlanta weather could be bringing some rain and some cooler temps, here's Ed Graney with some hot takes.
Hey, everyone. You know, I wrote after a 35-31 loss to Kansas City last Sunday night that the 6-4 Raiders we now see is far different than the one that was 6-4 after 10 games last year, and I really believe that. First of all, the team that plays in Atlanta today has a playoff-level offense. Not that the Raiders couldn't move the ball last year, but their rate of success of doing so now is at a postseason level. The biggest difference between 2019 and 2020, Las Vegas is finishing more drives with points and touchdowns. The Raiders average 28.6 points per game, which ranks 8th across the NFL. The biggest difference, why? Derek Carr. The 7th-year Raiders quarterback is playing some of, if not the best ball of his career. Carr is taking more chances, pushing the envelope as much as head coach John Gruden will allow, being more aggressive with his decision-making. I'm not suggesting Carr is doing his best Patrick Mahomes impression or that Gruden would allow everything to be open up that much. But Carr is trusting those around him more, and with that trust comes a more efficient attack. Carr ranks 5th among quarterbacks with a passer rating of 108.7, trailing only Aaron Rodgers, Mahomes, Russell Wilson, and Drew Brees, and that's pretty elite company for sure. I can't see how with Carr playing this well that the Raiders would suffer the same fate as last year, when they followed that 6-4 record by losing 5 of their next 6 games to finish 7-9 and out of the playoff hunt. Yes, things can always be better defensively. At this point, the Raiders likely still go into each game thinking they have to outscore whatever opponent is across the field from them. But this is where the conservative approach of Gruden could help Las Vegas avoid a similar meltdown that was the 2019 season. Control the ball, control the clock, control how much your defense is actually on the field. Everything's different, Gruden said this week when asked to compare this 6-4 team to last season. Every day-to-day thing we do is different. The way we travel, the way we eat, the way we meet, the way we greet each other, everything is different. You know, I think he's right. There's a different feel this season, a different level of confidence. Now, all the Raiders have to do to prove all of that right is not lose to 3-7 Atlanta. We shall see how that goes. I'm Ed Graney, and those are my hot takes.
We are minutes away from kickoff, but we still have time to do one final check on what's trending online.
And we'll have your look at the inactives who will be sitting out this game.
Stay on the winning page with Fan Fave Las Vegas Review Journal to receive Vegas Nation content, plus breaking news, local entertainment, and lifestyle coverage. For only 99 cents a week, you'll get home delivery plus unlimited access to LVRJ.com. However you like it, whenever you like it. Award-winning content, all at your fingertips. Subscribe today at mylvrj.com/superfan.
Vegas Nation Blitz is your weekly source for Raiders news.
We're going to stick together, bond together. We're going to make some changes.
Vegas Nation Blitz brings you fast takes and smart coverage.
All we have to do is make a stop right there, and the whole complexion of this game changes.
Vegas Nation Blitz, new episodes airing every Wednesday at 8 p.m.
Our Vegas Nation podcast keep you up to date with all things Raiders. Get your week going with First and 10 on Mondays featuring Sam Gordon and Vinny Bonsignor.
Who you can count on to make a big play when you need one.
Wednesdays, Heidi Fang brings you in-depth interviews with Raiders players and personalities.
You know it's a great challenge.
On Fridays, get your dose of Raiders talk and musings from Ed Graney and Adam Hill with unsportsmanlike conduct.
Should there be any discipline? No. People are going to get it, and that's fine.
Vegas Nation, fast takes, smart coverage.
The Road Ahead is sponsored by the Richard Harris Law Firm. Just in case. Injured? Call 444-4444.
Sam, let's go ahead and take a look beyond this week's game for a minute, where the road ahead will take the Raiders right back to the East Coast.
Yes, it will, Cassie. They're going to play the New York Jets, who are having a little bit of a losing streak this year with no wins on the season. That's definitely a game I feel like they should win, Cassie. You expect to win that game. A playoff team, regardless of the circumstances, goes in and takes care of business against the Jets, who are looking ahead, I would assume, at next season, and Trevor Lawrence at Clemson, and looking at seeing if he can revitalize that franchise, because it ain't happening this year. The Jets are the epitome of futility. They have been for a couple of years now, and this season it is coming to an head with no wins at all. So Atlanta this week, the Jets next week, should position the Raiders to make a bit of a run here as they look towards the playoffs at the end of the season.
All right, Sam. Well, let's go ahead and get one final check-in with our Vegas Nation crew in Atlanta. Before we get there, let's see what's trending on social media.
This social media update is sponsored by D&R House of Diamonds, making luxury affordable.
Let's see what we've got here. Let's pump it on up. We've got Raider Nation here in ATL. Look at this, Sam. Some Raiders in Atlanta.
I mean, they can't go to games in Vegas, right? So they got to travel, and why not? No better place in the Dirty South than Mercedes-Benz Dome itself. So interesting to see some Raiders out there, and I'm sure the Raiders players will feed off of that energy.
They'll love
having
it.
A crowd.
For sure, for sure. Well, our Vegas Nation crew is taking time out from Twitter to check in with us one last time. Let's go back out to Atlanta, where Heidi Fang, Ed Graney, and Vinny Bonsignor are getting ready for the game. Heidi.
Thanks, team. As we wrap up here, our final thoughts from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. I'm looking forward to seeing what happens here with the running game. With Josh Jacobs showing up on the injury report this week with a hip injury, it's going to be interesting to see how many carries he actually has on the field and how much they mix it up by committee. Vinny, what are you looking forward to?
Well, I want to see if the defensive line has a dominant game in them. They need to get after Matt Ryan, make life difficult for him, hit him a few times, try to force some turnovers, flip the field, give the offense some more possessions.
All right, Ed, yours.
Resolve with the Raiders. They're a better team than Atlanta. 6-4 against 3-7. Be the better team. I know you're going east, but you got to show up and win the game if you're truly better than you were last year.
There you have it with our final thoughts from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Now back to you in the studio.
Thank you, guys. Well, it'll be interesting to see how things play out on the field today, but there are some players who will not be getting time in the game. Let's go ahead and look at the Falcons. First, Sam, wide receiver Julio Jones and running back Todd Gurley are out for today's matchup. That's a bit of a relief for this Raiders defense, is it not?
Huge. Julio Jones, arguably the best receiver in football at 6'3", 220, can go deep, has ball skills, can do it all. The Raiders get a little bit of a break there, and then Todd Gurley, not the player he once was with the Los Angeles Rams, but still an effective back. Another break for the Raiders there, too.
Thank you, Sam. Well, that will do it for this week's episode of Vegas Nation Blitz. We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Everything you need to know up until the game, go ahead to vegasnation.com. For Sam Gordon, I'm Cassie Soto. We'll see you next week.